All rise, veuillez vous lever.
Please be seated here. Will the court officer please announce the session?
Thank you, Mr. President. The International Criminal Court is now in session. La session de la Cour pénale internationale est ouverte.
Thank you very much. We are assembled today to witness the swearing-in of the new prosecutor of this court, Mr. Karim Asad Ahmad Khan. As required by the court's founding treaty, the Rome Statute, he will make his solemn undertaking an open court. I welcome Mr. Khan to this session. I am joined at this important occasion by the first vice presidents of the court, Judge Luz Ibanez Carranza, and the second vice president, Judge Antoine Mindua. Due to the requirements of physical distancing related to the COVID-19 pandemic, the other 15 judges of the court are exceptionally not with us in the courtroom, but they have rather connected the session remotely. I am grateful for their participation. I also welcome the presence in the courtroom of the Vice President of the Assembly of State Parties, Her Excellency Ambassador Katerina Sekventsova, the Registrar of the Court, Mr. Peter Lewis, and the President of the ICC Bar Association, Mr. Peter Haynes. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that we are at the important milestone in the life of the International Criminal Court. The ICC has now existed for almost 2 decades, but Mr. Khan is only the third person to take up the job of the court's prosecutor. That job is unique in the ICC. There is only one prosecutor. And with a mandate of 9 years, each successive prosecutor is bound to leave much more than a passing mark of the institution. Indeed, the prosecutor play a critical role in the court's work. While judges are the ones who ultimately decide the verdict in each case, it is also true that those cases would never reach the judges without the prosecutor's decision to bring them to court. The same applies to investigations. The prosecutor is the one who takes the initiative to launch them. And it is the prosecutor who is responsible for the way in which the preliminary examination, investigations, and prosecutions are conducted, and how evidence for the prosecution is selected and presented. Obviously, the prosecutor is aided by a large number of highly competent staff, including senior lawyers who argue cases in the courtroom on behalf of the prosecutor's office. Still, the ultimate responsibility lies with the prosecutor, and he or she is the one who will face the public's price and blame for the actions of the prosecutor's office. And indeed, it was the ICC prosecutor, Madame Fatou Bensouda, at the time, who faced unprecedented consequences from her work last year in the form of sanctions against her person, along with a senior member of her office. This was a stark reminder of the kind of pressure to which the prosecutor might be subjected. All of this is to say that being the ICC prosecutor is a tall job with a heavy responsibility and high expectations. I am happy to note that Mr. Khan comes to this demanding job with outstanding credentials in the field of international criminal law. He is widely known as a highly capable, determined, and skillful lawyer. For more than 20 years, he has worked across numerous international and hybrid jurisdictions, including the ICC. He has conducted complex investigations and prosecutions, but he has also acted as counsel for the defense and the victims in the international criminal cases. In that connection, he served for 1 year as the president of the International Criminal Court Bar Association. I trust that this diverse experience will be of great benefit to him as he assumes his new responsibilities. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I refer to this day as a milestone in the court's lifespan. There are moments when we must pass the torch to other people to carry it forward. This happens with the judges as well. Every 3 years, 1/3 of the court's bench is renewed. The last time that what happened was only 3 months ago. But regardless of the people at the helm, the court's mandate remains unchanged, and our work for justice must continue unabated. Indeed, justice must always be our central focus. Let us not forget how privileged we are to work for this historic institution. For decades, a permanent international criminal court was but a dream. Now it is a reality. And more than that, today the ICC is an institution which hands full of work on a broader scale than ever before on several continents. That growing and highly complex workload requires our very best efforts. And beyond that, we must also seek ways to improve the institution while at the same time conducting our daily work. Fulfillment of the court's mandate also requires the full cooperation of states and sufficient resources. In this respect, we rely on the support of the Assembly of State Parties. At the same time, it is essential that we take care to cherish and uphold the court's independence at every turn. That is the highest value for any judicial institution, and it is at the heart of the rule of law. On that note, I welcome everyone again to this session, and I give the floor to the Vice President of the Assembly of State Parties to address us.
Mr. President, Madam Vice President, Mr. Vice President, Madam Prosecutor, Mr. Registrar, Mr. Prosecutor-elect, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as the President of the Assembly, Ms. Silvia Fernandez de Gurmendi, could not be with us today, she has asked me to represent the Assembly of States Parties at the solemn undertaking of the new prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Mr. Karim Asad Ahmad Khan, The election of a new prosecutor is one of the most challenging but equally important and sensitive decisions to be made by the Assembly every 9 years. The responsibilities of the individual elected for the post are immense, as it is quite likely one of the most difficult positions in the sphere of international criminal justice. The Assembly took this decision on 12 February 2021, electing Mr. Karim Asad Ahmad Khan for a period of 9 years. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Khan on behalf of all state parties on his election and assumption of office. As the new prosecutor steps into office, I'd like to praise Ms. Fatou Bensouda for her courage and unrelenting determination to pursue justice, as well as for the passion with which she has carried out her mandate, both as prosecutor and before as deputy prosecutor. Over the almost 17 years she has been with the court, she has left her imprint on international criminal justice. I thank you. Mr. Khan assumes office at a truly new phase for the court and the Rome Statute system. Not only do the court and the Assembly have a new leadership, but the entire system has embarked on a broad review that seeks to strengthen what the international community established in Rome in 1998. Some of the most crucial aspects of this review will fall upon the very shoulders of Mr. Khan. Fortunately, he brings with him an impressive amount of experience in international criminal justice. His knowledge and familiarity with the work of the courtrooms in The Hague is vast and will surely be pivotal in helping all the stakeholders in the Rome Statute system to strive towards our common goal of putting an end to impunity for the most serious crimes. I'm confident that his tenure will constitute a fundamental pillar in the process of delivering international justice, which we all are deeply committed to. Mr. Khan takes office 23 years after the International Community assembled in Rome to create not just an international criminal court, but a veritable system that would give hope and support to the victims of egregious crimes. The court established by the Rome Statute is now more than a landmark creation in the international landscape. It is an active, respected, and indispensable part of the international community. We can no longer envision our international system without it. In the third decade of the court's existence, we will face some familiar and some new challenges, but also unique opportunities to advance with the pursuit of justice. On the part of the Assembly, we will continue to seek the universal ratification of the Rome Statute. That process may have slowed down somewhat, but surely we must all keep working towards the universality. All non-state parties are welcome to participate in our Assembly and thus to become more familiar with the Rome Statute system and hopefully to join us in the not-so-distant future, as we all share the firm belief that Rome Statute crimes should never go unpunished. The other recurring challenge is cooperation. The court depends on the active support and cooperation of its states parties. All 123 states parties will continue to stand firmly for the integrity of the Rome Statute and respond promptly to cooperation requests received from the court. It is essential that all of us, including states parties, non-states parties, international and regional organizations, and civil society, continue to live up to our commitment to work together to fight impunity for the gravest international crimes. The Assembly of States Parties will continue to ensure that the political, diplomatic, and other requisite support of states parties is made available to the court so that it can carry out its mandates as efficiently as possible. On behalf of the Assembly, I wish Mr. Karim Asad Ahmad Khan courage, fortitude, and steadfastness in the next 9 years as the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President. We will now proceed with the solemn undertaking. In accordance with Article 45 of the Rome Statute, before taking up his or her duties, the prosecutor shall make a solemn undertaking in open court to exercise his or her functions impartially and conscientiously. I invite the Vice President of the Assembly of State Parties to come forward to witness the undertaking of Mr. Karim Khan. Mr. Khan, I invite you to come forward.
Mr. Karim Asad Ahmad Khan, you have been elected prosecutor of the International Criminal Court by the Assembly of States Parties. I ask you to raise your right hand and, in accordance with Article 45 and Rule 5 of the Rules of Procedure and Evidence, pledge your solemn undertaking.
I, Karim Asad Ahmad Khan, solemnly undertake that I will perform my duties and exercise my powers as prosecutor of the International Criminal Court honorably, faithfully, impartially, and conscientiously, and that I will respect the confidentiality of investigations and prosecutions.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I now invite the new prosecutor of the court, Mr. Karim Khan, to address us. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, Vice Presidents, honorable judges of the International Criminal Court, Vice President of the Assembly of State Parties, Mr. Registrar, President of the International Criminal Court Bar Association, my predecessor Fatou Bensouda, and Deputy Prosecutor, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to take this solemn declaration, but it's apt to recall that this magnificent courtroom, this building, and this office that I now lead can be viewed through two different prisms. First, it is an awful testament to the horrors of mankind, that in this 21st century, as we send rovers to Mars, as we are about to commence space tourism, where we have managed to harness the powers of the sun, of the wind, and of oceans. In this 21st century, medieval crimes are being committed by modern people. Rape, slavery, killings, torture, attacks against identity, all manner of persecution and destruction of cultural property take place as we speak. But through the other prism, through the other lens, this court and the whole Rome Statute architecture represents, in my view, a promise to the future that tomorrow need not be as bleak, as sorrowful as yesterday. To state parties, with respect, I commend you, every single state that has signed up and ratified the Rome Statute, for your commitment to international justice, your commitment to fulfill the promise that you have made. And I undertake, in my new position as prosecutor, to respect the statute, to comply with complementarity, and insist on independence. And I will endeavour to foster cooperation and collaboration wherever possible. I will endeavour to nurture engagement rather than competition. The priority for me, and I believe that's the principle of the Rome Statute, is not to focus so much on where trials take place, but to ensure that the quest for accountability and inroads on impunity are made. Burdens sharing, for me, is a corollary, of course, to resource limitations. But it's also a legal and moral obligation upon all of us, a shared commitment on behalf of humanity, of which we have the honor to be part. And together, I really do believe we can make progress. And I stand steady and willing to engage with states in novel and imaginative ways. Linked to that is my view, Mr. President, that of course the ICC is not only a court of last resort. In my view, and it's a matter for the honourable judges of the court, in my view, the Hague itself should be a city of last resort. Wherever possible, we should be trying to have trials in the country or in the region, wherever possible. Of course, it is easier for survivors and victims. It can save costs, reduce the carbon footprint, but also importantly, it shows we're not in the export business. We're not. We are involved in a body of law that is owned by humanity. It is not of the West or of the East, it's not of the global North or of the South. It belongs to each and every one of us. To non-state parties, I say that I wish to include you in my engagement in this joint quest for justice. The principles that underpin the Rome Statute also find form in the Charter of the United Nations, in customary international law. And my conviction is that we can find common ground in the quest and in the imperative to ensure we eradicate genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. Civil society remains an essential partner. I've worked with many parts of civil society, and I've seen so many occasions when they work in perilous and dangerous situations, and I need their help. The office needs their help, and we will continue to engage with them. And I pledge to be as collegiate with NGOs, with civil society, and as independent from them as I will with states. During my term, my aim is to build upon what works, to build on the solid ground that exists, but also to repair what is broken, to rejuvenate, to revive in the quest for greater efficiency and greater impact. To staff, as my predecessor knows very well, you will be my right and my left hand. This office should be the best place in the world for anybody who believes in the rule of law, human rights, international relations to work. And you have a right to work in a harassment-free working environment. And I intend to start addressing that, Mr. President, from today. I hope that with the help of the staff, we can make this a reality. In this regard, in my view, the current gender and geographical imbalance in the office, particularly gender imbalance in the highest echelons of the office, must be treated as an urgent operational priority. requiring immediate correction. And this is not as some favor to different parts of the world or to women. It's a requirement of good management, it's a requirement of justice, but also it's an essential pillar to improve the performance of the office. Linked to that, staff will become increasingly aware that opening preliminary examinations, requesting authorization or commencing investigations is a start. But as we say in English, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We have to perform in trial. We cannot invest so much. We cannot raise expectations so high and achieve so little so often in the courtroom. As an office, we need a greater realization of what is required by the burden of proof and the obligation to prove a case beyond reasonable doubt. I'm also convinced, and I've said it for years, that if we fully embrace this wonderful gift from the civil law system of Article 54, of investigating, incriminating, and exculpatory evidence equally, so we get to the truth, that is going to be a key component to building stronger cases and getting better results in the courtroom. To the defense, I say, I stand ready for engagement. There is an obligation upon all officers of the court, prosecution and defense, to narrow the issues wherever possible, to find areas of common agreement, and ensure that international justice is not dragged out or delayed. And I also stand ready to improve the issue of disclosure so that trials can also be more effective and efficient. The final word, of course, Mr. President, must be to the survivors. The survivors are the heroes of the story that we have the honor to tell. Their indefatigable energy, their stamina and persistence for justice, I have found repeatedly all over the world, stuns one into silence. And it is as humbling, their example is as humbling as it is inspiring. I ask survivors for their patience as we bring about improvements, but I commit at all times, inshallah, to tell them the unvarnished truth. Mr. President, Excellency, honorable judges attending remotely, I am truly and sincerely humbled at my opportunity to serve, at the responsibilities that have been entrusted in me. And I will do my utmost to discharge those responsibilities without fear or favor, faithfully and with integrity, and in full conformity with the solemn declaration that I have just given. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prosecutor. The solemn undertaking of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has hereby been concluded in accordance with Article 45 of the statutes. This brings us to the end of today's ceremony. On behalf of the court, I offer heartfelt congratulations to Mr. Karim Khan. As President of the court, I look forward to working with you to strengthen our joint institution. We will be very happy to see you in your new ICC role. Finally, I thank everyone else who has been present today, most of virtually, to witness this event. This session is hereby closed.
All rise, veuillez vous lever.